working on Straight Outta Compton. What do you remember the most about? Was there any ideas that you guys came up with or a direction for this album? I know earlier you was like there was no direction as far as the NW and the Posse joint, but with this one, was there a certain direction or ideas you wanted to come with Straight Outta Compton?
Nah, man, it was just like, let's talk about what's going on in the hood. You know, let's just put them messages out there and make it fun, man. And that's what it was all about. And literally every time we went somewhere, there was another story. Like most of the good stories came from going to the Compton indoor swap meet. You
Right.
know, yeah.
Can you take us back to some of those sessions? What was the sessions like? I know in the movie, it looked like the guys were getting harassed by the police outside the studio. What was the sessions like back in the day recording this album?
So shout outs to my boy Donovan Smith over at Audio Achievements, who now in Hawaii, but he was our engineer at Audio Achievements in Torrance. So all of our sessions were in Torrance, which was the issue in itself, because we got a bunch of black dudes wearing Raiders gear hanging out in Torrance. That wasn't, you know, good for the neighborhood. But yeah, man, it was just like I said, it was a nice little small studio. It wasn't like what a lot of people think about studio sessions where everybody got a lot of people hanging out. Most of the time it was us in there like getting it done, because, you know, one thing I say about Dre and me and Blah and everybody else, when it came to doing the music, we tried to get it done fast as we could. We was trying to just get it done so we can go out and perform, we can go out and make some money. We wasn't just hanging out in the studio doing nothing. It was hard to get easy in there sometimes. You couldn't find him. Like, where you at, man? Come over here. So, but other than that, man, we just kind of was in there grinding, man. Like, we just tracks done.
Now the album cover is very historic. Back then, can you take us back to when and where exactly that album cover was taken and what it was inspired by, if anything?
Yeah, so from what I remember, it was taken, there was two. The first one, the NWA or NWA and the Posse, that was done in the alley around the corner from a record pressing company. But the Straight Outta Compton was done by a professional photographer. And I remember we were just walking around and he just kept having us shoot. Like there was one where we were just running. There was another one where we were standing around, and then he wanted to do that famous shot where he's, you know, like laying down with the camera pointed up and he's got the gun on him. So I forget I should be mad. I know the photographer too. I forget his name, but he did a really good job.
Absolutely. You rapped on Panic Zone and Something to Dance To, as well as co-produced several songs. Can you give us some fun facts or some tidbits that we may not know that you did on this album? Maybe made some adjustments, or you know, something that we may not know that you did for Straight Outta Compton?
Man, fun facts. I'm trying to think what would be a fun fact. I don't know, man. Like it just went so easy. It wasn't really a fun fact. Everybody just kind of like it was really one of these things where like you just be in there with your homies just making beats, and some of the stuff was hot, some of the stuff was whack. Like, well, that's whack. Don't do that. Like, don't say that. Or don't. And everybody just had their little role. Fun fact: I always tell this thing about Eazy-E that he used to like walk around with honey buns in his back pocket. I don't know if you might be too young to know what a honey bun is, but the little
I remember
the little posters. Yeah, he would have them. He'd take like 2 or 3 of them and squish them and put it in his back pocket. So when we get hungry, he'd reach in his pocket, pulling out honey buns. It'd be late night going to a concert. You hungry? That fool back there eating honey buns. Yeah.
At this point, is the DOC in the picture?
With who?
DOC.
DOC came in midway because we met him at a concert, I believe, in Texas. I believe, because he was from Texas.
Right.
And then, you know, once we got him, it definitely helped change the dynamic because he was another prolific writer. You know, just like crazy.
Can you take us back to the reaction when the Straight Outta Compton album dropped in the summer of '88?
Man, so when that album, people knew something was coming just because of the earlier NWA stuff. But when the album dropped, we were actually on tour, I believe, and when it actually dropped, I remember seeing something on the news, man. Like people was talking about it on the news, and Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife, was freaking out because she was head of the PMRC or something, and they was bulldozing records, burning records, and we
Right.
was like, damn, this is crazy. But it actually just made it sell more. You tell a kid he can't have nothing, they want it, you know.
Exactly. What are some of your favorite tour memories during this time? I know you only did, I think, the first half of the tour or so. What were some of your favorite tour memories going out with the guys?
Yeah, I wonder, is the statute of limitations up? I think they are. Yeah,
Yeah, we want
it
those
was some crazy
stories.
times on, man. It was some crazy times on tour, man. You know, some of the stuff in the movie was accurate. Some of the stuff wasn't. You know, I don't remember any point in time we could ever have any weapons. Because, you know, I mean, every time we get off an airplane, man, there'll be police in the terminal, like freaking the Blues Brothers. Like literally, you come get off an airplane, it'd be 30 police in the terminal waiting for us to land. You know, so that was crazy, man. And just the struggle that we had. I remember going to shows in certain cities. We go eat, we come back to the concert. We couldn't even get on our own concert sometimes because people didn't believe us. Like, you
Wow.
can't get in. Dude, that's us on the freaking marquee. Like, this is our show. We can't get
Right.
in. We almost had to kick the ass of the security guards just to get in on our own show.
Right. Were you around when the guys received a letter from the FBI?
Yeah, yeah.
What was
That
what
was,
was what was your reaction to that? Was it excitement, or was it like, hey, we need to chill out?
no, that was excitement, man. It was like, oh, more records. You know, like, press is press. Because, I mean, what we got scared of, freedom of speech, say what you want. Like, you know, often say this, even to this day, you know, when you say something, when you speak out on something, when you open your mouth and have an opinion, you got to be able to accept the consequences of what you say in your action. You know what I'm saying? So we felt that what we were doing was the truth and it needed to be told. There's a lot of people today out there that ain't telling the truth higher up in the government that's just running their mouth, you know. So I think that, you know, you have to take the consequences of your actions. So we were prepared to take those consequences if anything came down.
Right. Did you happen to be at that Detroit show that was seen in the movie?
Yeah, that was one of the last shows I did.
Can you
That
take
movie wanted to.
can you take us back to anything that was not right about that scene, and can you take us back just to that moment in general?
Well, they had said before the show that we can't sing "Fuck the Police," and they've said it in many other shows. You can't sing that song, and we did it anyway. But this was the first one that, you know, that at that time Detroit police, they was a gang too. You know what I mean? Like they had their own little thing, and they
Right.
wasn't going for it. So they used like flashbang grenades in the spot, and yeah, man, it was interesting. It was very interesting what happened.
At what point did the Arabian Prince decide to stop the tour and leave the group?
So it was exactly when I started trying to figure out where the money was, because we would do a show. This is how it started. We go to do shows, and when you do a concert, you get half the money up front. You get the other half the money when you finish the show or before you go on stage. We would always get the half the money when we did the show, but we would never see the first half of the money. And I kept asking Jerry Heller where all the money at, like where my money. And one of the two of this, more than one reason I was doing this is because I was the only one in the group at that time that lived by himself. I had my own apartment, I had my own car, you know, I just got a new car. I'm
Right.
like taking it for myself, so I'm like, I need to get my money, and I got a hit record in Supersonic that I'm not really getting paid for either. So I'm like, man, I need to get paid around here. What's up? And I never could get an answer. And finally, I was like, look, Jerry, I'm gonna take this record Supersonic, and I'm gonna win. I'm out, right? Screw this. I can just take this record, go make my money. And he didn't want me to take it, so I had my attorney and him drew up a deal to where Ruthless Records could keep Supersonic. I would get all my royalties from NWA, And then I was out because I don't trust you. And I had tried to tell everybody else at the time what was up with him, but nobody was really paying attention at the time. So I got my deal straight. I'm out.
Around 89, you put out a solo album through Orpheus. What was the game plan going into that solo album after leaving NWA?
Let me say that again. You broke up a little bit.
In 89, you put out a solo album through Orpheus. What was the game plan going into your solo album after leaving NWA?
Well, I just kind of wanted to go back and just do me, you know, as a solo artist. Like I could have, a lot of people was trying to get me to do exactly the same kind of stuff as NWA and even maybe diss somebody, but they was my homies. I had, like, you know, I'm still friends with everybody. I never had a problem with anybody in the group. I only had a problem with Jerry Heller. And that was my beef. So I just wanted to go back and do kind of like party chill music, just fun music. And, you know, I would never, I tell people, man, I was in a gang for 2 days. First day I was in a gang, you know, I was young, pretending like I'm in a gang in the hood. The
Right.
next day my home got stomped down. And I was like, ah, that ain't no fun. I'm out. And, you know, so I wasn't about that lifestyle, man. We was just making music. So I went back to just making party music and doing my thing. And the cool thing was, you know, I may not have sold as many records, but I made all the money. So for me, it was 5 times the money, or 6 times the money than if I would have made if I would have did it.
Overall, were you pleased with your debut album?
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, I liked it. And then I followed it up with a couple more. I did another one independently, which I made a lot more money on. When I figured out the independent game, the calculation was different. When you're on a major, you make 10% of the money, right? When you're an independent, you make 90% of the money. So I need to sell 1,000,000 records to make decent money, $100,000, $200,000 on a major. If I sell 100,000 records on an independent, I make $1,000,000. So I figured that out like real quick.
Right. Throughout the years, what has your relationship been like with the guys in the group? Do you have a relationship with any of them at this point?
Yeah, so I mostly keep in touch with Yella and Ren mostly. Me and Ren play a lot of video games together. We talk a lot. Me and Yella talk a lot. I talk to Dre maybe once or twice a year. Same with Cube. I bump into him. You know, yeah, but I've always been cool with everybody.
You've gone on to release other music throughout the years. Catch us up on what you've been doing outside of music.
I heard about you said new songs. Do that one more time.
Okay. You've gone on to release new music throughout the years. Can you catch us up on what you've been doing outside of music?
Oh, okay, yeah, for sure, man. So in parallel to all of the NWA stuff and all the music I've done over the last like 40 years, I've been in the video games and animation and special effects. Like literally in the late 80s, I was coding and doing graphics and video game stuff. Like I worked on the first series of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Silver Surfer, Casper, Addams Family, did the movie Contact, worked on Independence Day, did a lot of stuff with Rhythm and Hues and Digital Domain, like even Titanic. Man, I've had like this dual life, man. So I've been definitely in the technology game for the last 30, almost 40 years as well.
So, what does Arabian Prince consider his greatest achievement over the years?
Man, staying alive, dog. And that's the honest truth, man. Because you know, I say this, and this is the real world truth, and I want to talk about this too, of what's going on with the police and you know, Black Lives Matter and just you know the harassment of Black people in this world. Is I grew up in the hood, and from the time I was young until now, I've been pulled over or shot by the police more than 200 times.
Wow.
200 times. I've only got one ticket. What's that tell you? I mean,
Right.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and there's people saying, oh, there's no systematic racism. Dude, I can walk into a store that technically I'm not supposed to be able to go into, like a Rolex store or some fancy department store. I walk around in there, I'm getting followed around.
Right.
I could hire the dude follow me around. You could, hey, dog, come work for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely systematic racism, and all of those 200 times I got pulled over, any one of those could have gone wrong. All I had to do was say something stupid.
Right.
do something wrong, make the wrong move, whatever. I'm more like even kill about that shit because I understand what can happen if you act up. But why should I? When, a white person who's not of color can sit there and curse the police out. Motherfucker, why you pull me over? I'm on my attorney. And, act cool and don't nothing happen. But here I am. I ain't done nothing wrong. Let me like make one move wrong, and that's my ass. Or I'm always, like, how'd you get your car? Where are you going? What are you doing? What do you do for a living? Like, how can you
Right.
afford this? What?
Right.
Man, get the fuck out of here. But it's sad, man. I just am happy to be here. And now my goal in life, man, is to educate the next generation of youth out there. I'm doing a lot of stuff with the Boys and Girls Club, inner city kids, kind of help them understand what their career path is. Like, it ain't all about basketball, football, rap, and entertainment to get out. There's so many other ways to get out and do amazing things and make money. And then once you make money, go back and get somebody else and bring them up with you.
Right. Absolutely. Throughout the years, does Arabian Prince have any regrets?
Man, I think the only regret that I probably had was not speaking harder on warning the rest of the group what was going down with Jerry Heller. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, I really probably could have just like, man, fuck that. Y'all sit down. Check this shit out. Here's how it goes. Because I was the only one in the group who had a solo record before everybody. Everybody else was in groups or didn't even make it. But I had my own solo record, so I understood royalties a little more than everybody else. And I think if I had really convinced people earlier on what was going on, maybe the group would have stayed together. Never know.
Right. How does Arabian Prince feel about the state of hip hop in 2020? What are you currently listening to, if anything?
I like it, man. I like all music. I know some of us old hip hop heads and rappers be like, man, that new music, I don't know what the hell that shit is. That's dark. But you got to think about every generation of music. The generation before is going to talk shit about it.
Right.
And all those generations of music are all in the Rock Hall of Fame. The Beatles, they talk shit about the Beatles. They talk shit about the Rolling Stones. They even talk shit about Chubby Checker and all of that. Right, that garbage music. It's just what it is. It's the next generation's sound. You got to embrace it. And then there's going to be another sound and another sound. And I'm all about creativity, man. And I embrace it all.
Before we get out of here, some of your supporters have some questions. Varus Tower wants to know, what kind of production equipment did you and Dre use to make Straight Outta Compton?
Okay, so what we had in the studio at the time, we had a Roland 808. We had a Juno 106 keyboard. We had an Oberheim stuff. We had a DMX, a DX, and some Oberheim gear. We had SP12, SP1200, and that's the kind of stuff we had. And then we had some of the earlier samplers, really early samplers, earlier Kai sampler. And then we eventually got an emulator too. That's why I got a bad back carrying that big ass emulator 2 around in the amp rotator. But that's what we use in the studio.
Can you ask him if Tamika Wright has anything with you being cut from the movie because you sued her for unpaid royalties?
Yeah, that's part of the reason why. Yes, sir. I had an issue, because like I said, I still get royalties, and sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get my money. And I always gotta like tap on the door, tap on the window, like, excuse me, can I get paid? And sometimes people don't like that.
Is there still some unreleased NWA Arabian Prince material out there in the vault somewhere?
Yep, there's some unreleased, a lot of stuff out there, and I know where it is. I know who's got it. Somebody has it, and one day maybe it'll come out. The problem is, it's kind of convoluted because, like, who owns the rights to this stuff? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy, but they're still out there on tape.
What could you say your best experience was with the group NWA during your time with them?
Just like I said, we was homies. It was. You got to look at it this way, man. Like, coming from the hood and coming from nothing, to be able to just get a bunch of homies together and create like masterpieces and something that stood the test of times that people are still talking about 30 years later. You know, like this whole thing with Black Lives Matter and the police, we were talking about that 30 years ago. And now, still to this day, here we are. You know, so that's the biggest accomplishment to me.
Very dope. Where does the Arabian Prince see itself in the next 10 years?
Man, doing what I'm doing now, man. I'm knee deep in technology. I own some esport properties. You know, I'm into the whole gaming thing as well as building hardware tech and still doing music. You know, still making beats, still producing for people, still dropping some stuff. But yeah, I'm not gonna change. I'm always gonna be an innovator.
What can we expect from next from Arabian Prince?
Man, working on some stuff. Like I said, I got a couple of cartoon projects coming out with some partners that I'm doing. I'm dropping some new video game hardware, like some computer hardware and some gaming hardware for esports, and working on a couple of new music projects with some current and future artists.
Very dope. Before we get out of here, can you tell us where we can keep up with you, social media wise, any websites, anywhere we can keep up with Arabian Prince?
Yeah, you can find me just OG Arabian Prince. That's my social media, just OG in front of Arabian Prince. You can find me. I usually answer all my messages, like I answered you when you reached out. You know,
Absolutely.
I'm that C-list celebrity, man. I ain't got like 9 million people chiming up on me every day, so I like it.
Not to us, man. You are definitely a pillar in the culture. We appreciate everything you've done. Without you, it's almost safe to say there may have never been an NWA. I want to thank you so much for this time and giving me the opportunity. Stay safe. And like I said, I'm just very grateful to be talking with you tonight. Anything you need, I'm here. So thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Stay away from them zombies. I see them. They out
Absolutely.
there. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much,
All right,
Arabian
man.
Prince. I'll talk to you
Peace.
soon. All right.
Yes,
Peace.
sir.